And let's talk a little politics up here. Dr. Tim Melson. Is it okay to call you doctor?
Sure, you can call me Tim, doctor, whatever you want to call me.
I probably will after you leave. Thanks for coming up and driving over. Now,
great.
You, before we talk about your ties in Athens and stuff, you had a little illness several years ago. Tell us a little bit about that.
I did. Well, I'll tell you, when I was in Sheffield, I practiced at Helen Keller Hospital, and I was chief of anesthesia there for, I don't know, 16 years. And you know how we always in Alabama relate things to ball games.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Alabama played Georgia in that blackout game, and Georgia was #1 or whatever. And
we stomped them.
We did. Great night.
Good game.
Yeah. And so I woke up the next morning with about 104 temp, and I thought I was a picture of health. And went up to the hospital, and my wife made me go. I wasn't even going to go, you know. We make the worst patients. And so I went up there, and they said, well, let's just check you out. And I was in complete liver failure. Never had any alcohol, no, well, any significance, you know. No drugs, no hepatitis, just bad luck. And
wow.
Next thing I know, I'm at UAB, and they're saying, we need to talk to you about a transplant. I'm going, you're crazy. I just got a fever here. There's no way, you know. I'll need to go back to work Monday, and or the next day. And shoot, you know, you think you're indispensable. You know, I didn't think a case could get done at the hospital without me there. And,
Goodness.
And I found out they didn't cancel one case when I got sick. So next thing I know, I'm at UAB. They tell me I need a heart and a liver. And I'm like, well, how many have you done? You'll be the first. So I said, no, I don't think I will. I just went home, you know, and thought, well, it's been a good life.
Oh, my goodness.
So you were really prepared to die?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they told me I had just...
What were you, 50 years old?
No, I was, well, close, 48 at that
48.
time. Yeah. And,
Goodness.
yeah, you just never know. I mean, I like I say, sitting in a ball game one night and told I'm in complete liver failure and hadn't missed hardly any work.
So you go home and tell your wife, I'm just going to
Well, she was with me, so yeah, she's been great. I've been married to Lynn. I met her in kindergarten, and I met her in kindergarten.
Let's rephrase that.
Met her in kindergarten.
Yeah, she's a child bride. Hey, it was close to it. I got married in undergrad, and anyway, we've been together 33 years. But so we went through this together, and she's been with me the whole time and was great. But I came home, and we had a mutual friend up in Pittsburgh, Virginia area, and the guy said that the doctor up there, Dr. Marsh, goes, hey, called me and said, hey, Tim, I hear you got a problem. I said, yes, sir, I do. And said, can you come up here tomorrow? And I said, no, I got to get things in order. I didn't know if I was coming back home.
I mean, how much time did you have to live?
Well, now this was in October or around in there, and now there was that phase was, I ended up going out till almost middle of April before I got the transplant, but it got touch and go there for a while. You know, I had the complications, and I tell you,
ever scared?
Well, you look pretty healthy to me.
Was I ever scared?
Yeah, I know that's probably a stupid. I'm just gonna go home and just.
Well, I mean, what do you do? I mean, you know, you get help.
You didn't want to try it?
Oh yeah, I want it. Well, not a heart and a liver, you know. I mean, when somebody tells you you'll be the first, well, never be the first into something or the last out of something.
Did you get a heart? I know you got a liver.
No, I didn't. I went to Pittsburgh, and of course I graduated at UAB, and I thought, now these people are, you know, that's UAB. I graduated there, one of the best med schools in the world. They can't be wrong, you know. But so anyway, luckily the guy, Dr. Marsh, Wallace Marsh, up at Pittsburgh, and he said, Tim, come on up tomorrow. And I said, no. And said, well, come up next Tuesday, and I'll see you on Wednesday. And I went, and they worked me up and said that your heart's got issues, but they'll reverse back when we change your liver out. Of course, I had to hope they were right and UAB was wrong. And,
right.
And
obviously it worked.
Yeah, it worked. And some young man lost his life, and I was fortunate enough to get his liver.
So you've been good to go since then?
Yeah, I tell you what.
Did you go back to work?
I'm not anesthesia. I just do research for different drug companies, phase 2, 3, 4 clinical trials.
But in a little bit, I think, if I remember correctly, you told me this is what kind of led you to where we are today.
It did.
Getting into politics for the first time.
Yeah, it did. I started to run 4 years ago, and I had a daughter still in high school, and my wife and I, we had talked about it a little bit, but you know, and she's enjoy life. You got a daughter, and you got still in high school, one about to graduate. Actually, I had 2 in high school then, And the best year of my life was her senior year. I didn't work. I went to every function. She was a cheerleader. She went to Mars Hill over in Florence, and they went to the state championship in basketball.
They go about every year, don't they?
They're good.
Well, a lot of years. Yeah, a lot of years.
Yeah, they're good in baseball and everything, softball and everything.
They are. They're a good school. Now, I graduated from Coffee, but I sent my daughter there, and both my daughters. But anyway, life is short, and I decided I just wanted to get involved and run for office. And it's not what you accumulate here, it's what you leave behind. I came into this earth a lot better off, a lot more people took personal responsibility, and now it's everybody's wanting something for free, and it's a me generation, not a give generation. And I'm hoping I can go down there and help do some good and get some things going for our area, the whole district and the whole valley.
I'm glad you explained all that. Now, as I was talking to you at the special needs thing the other day, you know a lot about Athens and Limestone County. What are your ties here? Much more than I ever imagined. And a lot of people need to know this.
Yeah.
Well, it is. I spent most of my summers down there at where the Clements Baptist Church is. That was my granddad's old farm.
Okay.
And
where the church is now?
Yeah. Yeah, and I hate to see that farm destroyed, but if you got to have something go in your old homestead, a church is a pretty good thing to have there. And boy, that church has been awesome during this whole crisis.
Yeah, during the crisis.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people that go there.
Job.
Yeah, they really have. And but every summer I worked in my granddad's garden over there, and we'd come up here to Athens, and he went to Mount Carmel Church of Christ, and then he went to Coxey later. But he thought it was so funny to come up here and say, let's go to the A and P, because we were little kids, and he thought that was just a funny joke he could tell us, and we all just like, oh, can you believe what he said? But anyway, a great guy. My grandmother was, she died when I was 10, but we'd come up there all the time, and I'd work in his garden. And he at the time, or when he was growing up rather, he worked in the gin up here and kept the books, and found out Dan Williams worked with him when he was young in the gin. And he didn't know that either. But my granddad, and then I got 3 uncles. If you go to the Veterans Museum, you'll see 3 bricks up there with their name on them. And one of my uncles got a display. His ship, his naval vessel, is a picture with him in front of it. He was an officer. And he taught at Tanner High School. One of my uncles did. And my aunt still lives on Schilling. She'll be 90 this summer. And she has a son here, but her name's Rebecca Sands, and a great lady.
So you got a lot of relatives here, and you kind of know a lot about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Athens, this is one of the negative things, and you've heard this. You asked Dan about it the other day when you were on his radio show.
Sure.
Dan has come out in full support of one of your opponents.
Sure.